We have a third panelist who was advertised but is not able to be with us today because she is ill. That is Rebecca Roeder, who's from the Susquehanna County area. Let me just say a word or two about Rebecca, because fortunately we have a person who's agreed to substitute for Rebecca. Rebecca describes herself as an activist. That's her term. And Rebecca helped co-found in Susquehanna County a group called Breathe Easy Susquehanna County. It's a citizen advocacy group concerned with limiting communities' exposure to chemical exposure through the air from natural gas fracking and natural gas drilling operations. So that's the kind of person Rebecca is. Unfortunately, she can't be here today, but fortunately for us, Beth Higginson from Wellsboro meeting agreed to come down with her husband and serve on our panel. She's doing this rather ad lib, and we appreciate it, Beth.
Thank you. Let me say that part of the reason I agreed to do this is because I've worked with Rebecca a little bit, and she has a depth and breadth of knowledge about this issue that I can't even approach. And she's living one of the horror stories of having gas wells all around her, a compressor station. I believe she can see from the back, out of the back of her house, and a community also fractured and living with destroyed water and bad air and just, people fighting, people trying to hang on to, the beautiful place they lived, but it's a real struggle. About 2.5 years ago, Rebecca contacted me to ask if I would be willing to join her with a group of about 20 other people to go down to the EPA office in District 3 in Philadelphia to present concerns to the EPA. It was sort of an unofficial meeting, and she worked for months and months to get this meeting set up. She managed to figure out who the people to talk to there were, who was sympathetic, who she could get in the room to at least hear the stories. And so what I have for you today is mostly it's the minute from Wellsboro monthly meeting, the statement that we put together that I presented to the EPA, and then some remarks that Rebecca has made to me that may be helpful to you folks here. I'm from Liberty Township, Tioga County, Wellsboro Monthly Meeting of the Religious Society of Friends Quakers. Wellsboro Monthly Meeting is concerned about the drilling for natural gas in the Marcellus Shale. Several meetings in our quarter are in the area where this gas drilling is either being done now or is expected to be underway in coming years. Wellsboro Monthly Meeting is concerned about both the economic and environmental effects of the gas drilling. Many elected officials in the affected areas have expressed their beliefs that any activity that brings money into the area is good. Many of the areas affected have been economically challenged for many years, some since the timber and mining industries left, so the lure of big money is very enticing both to individual property owners and to the businesses and local governments. Potential negative environmental effects have already occurred, and the lag in robust oversight and regulation have allowed the industry to proceed at a faster rate with new drilling than we feel is responsible. Air and water quality, as well as scenic and recreational land use, may be affected by the drilling. Poorly regulated discharging of chemically infused water used in the fracking process threatens our rivers and bays here and downstream. Wellsboro Monthly Meeting asks Upper Susquehanna Quarterly Meeting and Philadelphia Yearly Meeting to do the following. Support a moratorium on gas drilling in the Marcellus Shale until rigorous regulatory oversight ensures environmental safeguards. For example, consistent with Clean Air and Clean Water Acts, and make statements to this effect. This was approved in May of 2010 by the Wellsboro Monthly Meeting. It was endorsed in June of 2010 by Upper Susquehanna Quarterly Meeting, and it was also endorsed in September of 2010 by Philadelphia Yearly Meeting. On behalf of myself, my family, my neighbors, and my Quaker community, I ask the EPA to host Susquehanna River Basin forums for stakeholders to address threats to drinking water and clean air. I believe they had one. We were asking that they have multiple forums so that friends and with big Fs and little f's could come and express their views. One of the things that Rebecca did when she was putting together this group was to ask us all to have a common statement at the end saying this is what we are asking your group for right now. Because as much as we can say all sorts of horror stories and helter-skelter things, if you can bring your group and your constituents and your multiple groups together to ask for one or two, main goals, that may be helpful in actually moving the process forward. And to make those goals be things that whoever you're addressing has some control over. You can't ask EPA necessarily to do something that's regulated by FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. You need to know who to try and address your issues to and what is under their purview. What could they do for you? And you want to try and bring as many different communities together. I mean, one of the reasons Rebecca asked me was because I could bring a minute that represented a large number of people. I mean, the Philadelphia yearly meeting, our numbers are about 10 or 11,000, I think. And so this minute speaks for all of us. I'm not just one property owner in Tioga County with my little 40 acres. So the more people you can bring to consensus and bring to speak together and speak and say, we speak on behalf of this group, And I would say also push your local news outlets. I know there was an article, I believe yesterday in the paper about what's going on here today. But I mean, I know Bryn has written many letters to the editor for our local paper, and other friends have as well, to keep what's going on front and forward. Keep pushing them to say, just because it's quiet for a week and nobody did anything doesn't mean this issue went away. And go to the offices of your local representatives and say, hey, what do you know about this? What can you tell me? I'm a property owner. I'm a voter. What can you tell me about? What can you tell me about what's going on? And if they don't know, ask them why they don't know. This is happening in their area, and what they, I'm happy to stand in somebody's office and say, what are you going to do about it? They're willing to do, get you your tags for your car and do all sorts of other, menial paperwork for you. This is a large issue. What are they willing to do for you? And to help you find information. And you can think outside of your small local news outlets. I mean, National Public Radio hosts a few different programs right now. There's something called Impact Pennsylvania, which is out of Harrisburg, that talks about shale drilling all over the state and also about pipeline issues. There's also a program out of Pittsburgh called the Allegheny Front, which talks about all sorts of environmental issues, but has been paying for the last few years a large amount of attention to fracking, and they are very well informed and very good at passing information on. That's about all I have to say.
The WITF website is an excellent source of information about the whole fracking and pipeline issue. So I agree with Beth, and I encourage you to go there if you want to find some really good, solid data research by journalists who are out there exploring what needs to be said and what needs to happen.